your dad, let's say, was slightly mentally ill, your father, and he ended up with a woman who treated him like garbage every day and made him do horrible things, and he did it, right? He did it because he was, slightly, let's say, mentally ill in this case. But it was his choice. Would you support his choice to do that? Or would you tell him that he should leave?
I support his choice, but also I tell him
You would
to
support
leave.
his choice?
No.
En esta mesa hay modelos de Lonely que defienden su profesión como si fuese digno. Este señor les va a dar una lección que van a tener que volver a lavar platos.
And I don't think it's wrong what we're doing. Because if men didn't buy it, then we were out of a job,
Andrew, do you want to, I want to not linger on it too long, but Andrew, do you want to have a little quick back and forth on this one?
So even if it were true that the reason that the industry exists is because men buy it, why would that negate your responsibility?
I'm just where the money's at, If I can live off of this because men decides to buy it, then why wouldn't I?
Mm-hmm. So let's assume for a second that there are people who they enjoy doing murder, but they don't enjoy doing the body disposal. So they murder the people, and you come in and you dump the bodies for them. That's where the money's at. Are you doing anything wrong?
But that is illegal. OF is not illegal.
Yeah, but let's say it wasn't illegal. Would you be doing anything wrong?
No.
Well, it is illegal
No,
because if
you
I
wouldn't be doing anything wrong.
Well, you didn't do the
Right. So, but you're contributing to the industry that's murdering, right?
You're contributing, but you're not doing anything wrong. You're just
Right.
helping, right?
Right. So they're just doing the murder. All you're doing is burying the bodies, right? You don't have any responsibility here.
basically.
You're just going where the money's at.
Uh-huh.
So from your view, the idea here is that it doesn't really matter how much damage you do, because if these men demand that you're doing the damage to them, you're not doing anything wrong. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. If your dad, let's say, was slightly mentally ill, your father, and he ended up with a woman who treated him like garbage every day and made him do horrible things, and he did it, right? He did it because he was, slightly, let's say, mentally ill in this case. But it was his choice. Would you support his choice to do that? Or would you tell him that he should leave?
I support his choice, but also I tell him
You would
to
support
leave.
his choice?
No, you wouldn't.
No, because is there really anything you could say?
Really? You'd support his choice?
Okay, I want to support his choice, but also there's nothing that you could say to him if he was so certain about it, right?
Why not?
Like I could say to him,
People change their minds about things they're certain of all the time.
but if he's like firm on it,
Yeah, people change their minds on things they're firm on all the time. And that's what argumentation is for, right? It's to assist people and change their mind from things that they've made up their mind about. People make up their mind about things all the time, and they're completely wrong. In fact, I would say 99% of things people think they know, they're wrong about those things. 99% of people's worldview is totally wrong, right? And the facts they think they know, completely wrong. So people kind of necessarily have to change their minds all the time, right? Because it's just demonstrated how wrong we are all day long, all the time, in all sorts of different things we do. So why not try to talk them out of it?
But how many guys watch like our industry? It's basically
It's a lot.
Yeah.
So the thing is, though, is that even if that's the case, if you could demonstrate that you were doing a lot of damage to these guys and that they were forming addictive behaviors, highly addictive behaviors around the things it is that you are doing, wouldn't you then have some agency and some responsibility to stop doing that?
But
to them?
then we should cut off all tobacco and alcohol,
Why?
because that's addictive to people. Some
Yeah.
people can't handle
So
it.
there's a threshold for damage. Breathing oxygen, right, can damage you. You can play guitar too much and become addicted to it. There's almost anything on planet Earth you can become addicted to, but we kind of create these thresholds on what type of damage is acceptable within society. And I would think that if you're just completely rewiring somebody's brain from the ground up, doing this much damage to yourself and society, that we can create a threshold there.
So corn is more damaging than alcohol. when people drink, they become violent. They become like not themselves. Isn't that more damaging than?
Yeah, but here's the thing: most people drink pretty responsibly, right? When you're talking about corn, for instance, right? The amount of damage that it does rewiring a person's brain is significantly more damaging than a person has a couple of drinks a week. Significantly more damage.
And
how?
Yeah, how? And what is the damage?
Because what happens is we create these thresholds for people. So if a person's watching TV all day, let's say, or not even all day, they just watch it a lot. What happens is they begin a step-up process. And we have research and studies which shows this over and over and over, right? Not only does it lead to human trafficking, which is, I think you would agree with me, is pretty fucking horrible, right? Especially underage human trafficking. It leads to that in almost every place where porn is legalized, human trafficking is through the roof in comparison to places where it's not. But also what it does is it stops a person from being able to orgasm unless they continuously up the dosage, the dopamine dosage to the brain. And so you've probably seen this with your own clients, right? At first, they may ask you to do something that's relatively modest or moderate, and then they kind of step that up over time, right? They're willing to pay a little bit more so that you do kind of more and more and more intense sexual things. Is that the case or not the case with many of your clients?
Most of them just like delete their account or never chat again. It's like a...
Yeah, I'm not talking about most. I'm asking, you have clients who do this, right? They just gradually step it up, right?
Yeah, like 2%.
Yeah, right. So they gradually step it up.
But it's the same with alcohol.
Okay, hang on. Let me make the argument, and then you can respond to the argument, okay? Can we do that? Let me just make it, and then you can respond. So anyway, they'll gradually step it up over time. And what this does is it actually is highly damaging not only their brain, but it's damaging to the person who's doing it. So now you have an entire sea of young women who dedicate their life to OnlyFans, and men don't want to marry them. They don't want to get married to them because of their history and the fact that their kids can go and see the online and things like this. Then we open up the can of worms as to what happens even to the ones who do, whose children get mercilessly bullied in school because mommy did pornography and her are all over the place, all over the internet. And then they come home and they're like, hey, gee, mom, look, this is a picture of you sucking this guy's what's going on here? It's a pretty disturbing phenomenon culturally. So it has all sorts of cultural impacts and phenomenon which go well and above and beyond what an individual experiences usually when it comes to societal destruction, right? So what an individual drunk does, I agree with you, it's bad, but we have all sorts of things to assist drunks, right? We try to make sure people don't become drunks. We try to make sure we do everything we can to make statewide propaganda about why it is that you shouldn't drink and drive, why it is that you shouldn't be getting drunk too much. Everywhere you look, there's anti-drinking. Everywhere you look, it's anti-smoking. Everywhere you look. Society is not promoting that, but there's no such programs against fans or work at all. It's in fact the opposite, right? Nudity is exploded inside of the private market. So I'd say these are massive distinctions between these two industries. Go ahead.
Wait, are you saying are you gearing this towards OF is wrong, or are you saying the whole sex work industry is wrong?
Yeah, I'm saying that we had a pre-corn pornography society, and that society was better than the one we're in right now. And the reason it is because the degradation to the overall demoralization has led to the overall degradation. That's the right way to say that. The demoralization has led to the overall degradation of society. And so, and this has happened over the span of multitudes of years. Alcohol has been with us for 2,000 years. This idea of is a recent phenomenon.
Yeah, but I live partly in Budapest, in Hungary, and that's the capital of corn, the corn industry.
Yeah, do you think Budapest and Hungary are phenomenal places, or what? Especially Hungary?
Yeah, I love it.
But what's great about Hungary?
Low taxes, no immigrants or refugees.
So they have some quirks. But let me ask you this: if Hungary didn't have pornography, what would be bad about that? How would that make Hungary a worse place?
It wouldn't make it better.
Yeah,
or
right. It
worse.
would. It wouldn't make it.
No.
But it would probably make it.
No.
But it would probably make it a better place.
I don't think so, but I'm just
think that
saying
you're-
that
you
I
think
live
that
in
corn
a
makes the world a
capital
better place?
where corn is like normal. So I think here in the US you look down upon it, but like in Europe, it's kind of, yeah.
No, they look down on it in Europe too. They look down on it in England. They look down on it in France. They look down on it in most of Western Europe. You're talking about some Eastern Bloc shitholes.
I have
and
lived
even in
in-
those, even in Eastern Bloc countries, they still look down on the shit. So I don't know what you're talking about.
They
definitely
don't.
look
They
down
don't.
on it. Yes, they do. Name the country where they don't look down on it.
Czech Republic and Hungary.
Some Eastern Bloc countries.
Yeah, also in Denmark.
Yeah, but all of Western Europe, yes, Western Europe looks down on it for sure. And America looks down on it. Australia looks down on it. Canada looks down on it. Most of Mexico even looks down on it. They don't like the idea of workers or